line.
And has somebody gone down straight away?
Isn't a bad sprinter either, but too tired from the chase. I think he'll get this.
Timed his run to perfection.
He wins today, and this time he'll get a yellow jersey.
Melbourne lays claim to being the sporting capital of the world, and it plays backdrop to the start of the Jayco Herald Sun Tour. The race has an honour roll that includes Bradley Wiggins, a winner of the Tour de France, some of the greats of Australian cycling, John Trevorrow, now the race director, Barry Waddell also amongst them, Simon Gerrans, he's won the race twice. 16 teams, 96 riders have gathered from all around the globe. Nathan Huss, another former winner. It was a big stepping stone in his career, and Calvin Watson is back as the defending champion. In 2014, who will join the prestigious honour roll?
And so the scene is set for the 61st running of the Jayco Herald Sun Tour, Cycling Australia's oldest event. It's a race over 5 days and 561.5 kilometres. Welcome everybody, I'm Phil Liggett. Alongside me, Sydney Olympic gold medalist Scott McGrory, but I think more importantly on this occasion, Scott, a stage winner and a rider of the Jayco Herald Sun Tour.
I was in the past, Phil, and I'm really excited about a big 5 days of racing.
Yeah.
This first time trial here in the CBD in Melbourne, that's going to be exciting, get things underway, and we head down to Geelong, short stage up to Ballarat, so not too much of a challenge, then a much more difficult one across to Bendigo, where I come from, so I've won in the streets of Bendigo before, looking forward to that one. Then we have a car lift across to Nagambie, so Mitchelton Winery start, finishing in the Nagambie circuit race there, before we go for the big one down to Arthur's Seat, and 3 times up that very difficult climb.
Now this is a very well balanced course, and it comes at the end of a summer of cycling here in Australia. The big teams have stayed on because this race now has got the highest possible ranking for a national tour, something the organisers here are very proud. Scott, from your own point of view, this race is now bringing together World Tour teams as well as pro-continental teams.
For me, that's exciting as well, and some of the continental teams that are based out of Australia, plus a couple of national teams as well. So there's a real mixed bag of experience and quality from the European side, and also the younger guys get to test their legs against some of the better riders like Simon Gerrans.
All right, well, as you can see, it's a beautiful evening here in the city, but before we go to the action, Matt Keenan caught up with the 3 riders who have won this tour previously.
I guess the pressure's coming from myself more than anything, there hasn't been a huge amount of pressure from the team aspect of things, but, when I'm wearing number 1, I want to do it proud, so there's a bit of pressure that I'm putting on myself to perform well, but, all you can do is your best at the end of the day.
It's great timing coming off the back of some good form at Tour Down Under, where, I got 5th in a pretty classy field, so Gerrans is here, who did win the race, but there's less other guys to contend with. So tonight's prologue's going to be important, but it's a hard week, and the team's got a lot of faith in me.
Oh, I think it's good. My preparation for the race has obviously been really good this year, and I think there'll be a lot of tension on myself, not only just myself, but also the entire team this week.
Well, of course, those are the men for the overall honours, and that's down on Arthur's Seat in 5 days' time. But what about the winner tonight? It's a short circuit, big crowd, lovely evening, different type of rider perhaps.
Almost guaranteed that tonight's time trial winner will be the different person to the overall winner because of the nature of the course, as you say. Jordan Kirby, who won the prologue time trial last year, he has to be a favourite for tonight's stage. Half the distance of what it was last year, but he's off the back of winning the under-23 time trial national championship.
Well, it is a tricky course, and who better to take us around it now than Matthew Keenan.
The opening prologue, and it's a technical one with the yellow jersey up for grabs. 2.5 kilometres starting in Birong Ma is one of the rare opportunities to really build up the momentum before they get to Princess Bridge. The first corner is a tight one, it's a left-hander. That takes them on to Princess Bridge. And from that moment on, the guys with the superior bike handling skills will be able to take time as they predominantly make left-handers down through the boat sheds with the MCG in the background. It's then full gas to the finish line down South Bank, and hope you get there with the quickest time.
Today in Melbourne we've got a 2.5k prologue on a super fast and really tight circuit with some really sharp corners. What I think is going to make the difference today is reconnaissance. So that means you've got to go out, check the course a few times and make sure you can take every corner at the right speed, without overcooking it or without going too slow that you lose too much time. I also think today it's only 2.5k, so you're going to need a really good warm-up and you need to make sure the legs are ready to go when you get 2 seconds to go.
Yes, one thing's for sure, Jordan Kirby would love to repeat his prologue win in Williamstown a year ago. This is James Rendell now, first rider of the 96 to leave the start house. Pressure all on him. He's only just been called up to the team, African Wildlife Safaris.
Well, it is a big ask for the young rider from the Wildlife Safaris team, Phil. First corner there, you can just see how tricky it is, and that is the nature of this course. It's short, but very technical.
Back into the start house, Neil van der Ploeg here. Now, he's a man that might give us the first top time of the day as he sprints off down in front of a huge crowd here.
The former mountain biker Van der Ploeg certainly has the tactical ability to get around this tricky course, and he showed at the Tour Down Under last week that he is actually able to mix it with the big boys.
Back into the start house, Will Clark now, who had a wonderful Santos Tour Down Under. He spent more times in the lead groups than he did in the peloton. He's got the form, and his time could be a good one as he leaves now, heading down for St Kilda Road.
The Drapac professional cycling team now in its first year as a professional continental team. And perhaps all of those breakaway attempts at the Tour Down Under has given him fantastic training preparation for the Jayco Herald Sun Tour.
Drapac want a very good performance here. They're in a new level of cycling this year as a UCI continental professional outfit. Going back on course though, and this is Neil van der Ploeg here, and he really has moved pretty well through the 2.5 kilometres.
We're just coming down this finishing circuit here. It's quite bumpy coming into the finish the last couple of 100 metres. He's put his hands back down now into the bottom of the handlebars and really fighting to the line. 3:05.6, that is a new best time.
Well, there's only 4 riders back, but that's a very good mark, I think, Scott. 3:05.6 here. And we're back in the start house, which isn't very far away as the crow flies from the finishing line. We come up now with Cam Meyer, 5 times a world track champion. This course will suit his speed.
Well, former Australian time trial champion as well, Phil, but a circuit as short as this, 2.5 kilometres with all the corners, I'm not sure if it really suits him perfectly.
Well, big future ahead of him, this man, as he settles in now. It's how you go through these very twisty corners here. It's highly technical. Brake hard, try to lose not too much time. Out onto St Kilda Road, then they'll turn left underneath. Meanwhile, this is Will Clark now. Is this going to be a trendsetter?
Well, you can just see him rocking the shoulders there, really coming in to the finish very fast here. And you can really tell the difference for some of the riders, just the extra speed that they're carrying towards the line. Out of the seat for that last little couple of 100 metres just to get the maximum out of his bicycle. Crosses the line. 3:02.51, now faster than Van der Ploeg.
I think that will take some beating, Scott. 3:02.51 for Will Clark. He's carried his form over from the Santos Tour Down Under. He's just looked at the clock. I think he'd be happy with that. Let's see how Cam Meyer is getting on here. Again, braking very hard, skimming down the barriers and accelerating. Literally on a course like this, every second will count. Let's quickly go back to the start house because Steele von Hoff is leaving here.
We expect big things from Steele von Hoff. He's a very fast sprinter. Just recently won the Australian Criterium Championship, proving how fast he is. Got the multicoloured shoes on the bike as well, but he's not worrying about that at the moment. It's all about getting around these corners fast.
At the finish, it's still Will Clark with 3:02.51. That is a great time for him. And this now, gritting his teeth, is not far off the arrival time of Cam Meyer. But I can see the clock, and he's not going to beat the time of Will Clark. He has already conceded too much time. He grits his teeth. He can see the clock. He hits the line now. 3 minutes and 7.66 seconds. It's not good enough. Will Clark stays in number 1.
There he is, the big Drapac rider, still trying to recover from his efforts. Steele von Hoff now, also a former mountain biker as well. A little bit sketchy coming around that corner, but a very powerful rider. So he's straight out of the saddle and just getting back up to speed.
Meanwhile, as we go back out on course here, through the chicanes, this looks to me as though we've got Matty Lloyd here making another comeback in the world of professional cycling out onto St Kilda Road. The serious face, though, of Felix English. Always sounds strange because he's actually Irish.
He is, rides for the Rafa Condor JLT team, but he's one of my pre-race favourites. He spent a lot of time in Bendigo training and he's focusing on this. This time the rider focusing on the finish line. Steele von Hoff from Garmin Sharp out of the saddle, trying to get every little bit of energy. Going forward, cross the line.
Great ride, but I'll tell you what, I've just watched Will Clark and he's breathed a great sigh of relief. He's sitting on the stage in the hot seat because Steele von Hoff's time 3:3.18. He goes second.
Well, Damon Housen, the next rider from Orica Green Edge to come down the start ramp.
Big launch now for Damien Howson, a name on many people's lips here now as he makes his way on the Orica Green Edge team. Let's quickly go to the finish though, because this is Felix English. He has predicted for himself a top 5 finish, and I tell you what, he's going to be desperately close to best time here. He knows it. The way he's forcing this bike up the home straight now, the time of Will Clark 3:2.51, and the time for Felix English 3:2.61. A tenth of a second in second place for Felix English. Melbourne is certainly the world's most livable city, and Jerry Ryan certainly seconds that.
I've just walked along the river, and you could be in Europe. It's great to see the people coming out. You know, the fan base of cycling just continues to grow, and they're in for an exciting race here today.
Well, we're certainly getting that. This is a huge crowd watching the prologue time trial, and this in the start house now is Lachlan Norris.
Well, Lachlan Norris is one of the contenders for the overall classification from the Drapac team. Not a time trial specialist, but he'll be trying to limit his losses because we expect him to do very well when the roads start going uphill.
The riders all starting 45 seconds apart, so they don't catch each other up on this short circuit. And it really is simply best time takes out the first leader's yellow jersey for tomorrow's stage.
Just that first corner there, very tricky up onto the bridge, but you can see Lachlan Norris just really getting into it, and this is a big star of Australian cycling. For the team that Jerry Ryan actually backs, Orica Green Edge, of course, it's Matthew Goss.
Having a good start to the season too, had a win in the Mitchelton Bay Classic Series, which started the new year. And now Matty Goss out on course. I don't think we expect a winning time for Matty Goss. He's more of a solid sprinter out on the highways, but nonetheless, he'll want to stay in contention here. And there's the man still in the hot seat, Scott, and that is Will Clark. His time is still standing. Now, can it go down to a teammate taking it from him?
Lachlan Norris comes across the line. Handy time by him at 3 minutes 07.37. Good for an overall contender. Oh, Matty Goss just getting it slightly wrong around that corner, though.
Yes, so Clark stays on top of the leaderboard. Now, Nathan Haas here made the start to his professional career by winning this race back in 3 years ago. Now, can he do a good start to the prologue here?
Well, he showed to be on very good form in Adelaide for the Tour Down Under, so he'll be very confident coming into this week's race, putting in all of the effort here into this first corner. Just low there, crouching over the top of the bars there, just trying to keep his centre of gravity down very low. Matthew Goss now coming through to the finish.
Well, Goss, he's spinning for the line, but he's not going to touch the time of Will Clark as he comes up towards that line. He's already ticked by 3:06. Little bit of a spurt. He hits the line, shake of the head, 3:08.38.
Back to Nathan Haas here, the former winner of the Jayco Herald Sun Tour. He took that corner much faster than the last rider down around that corner in Matty Goss.
Yeah, he looks pretty good on the corners. This is Anthony Giacopo here making his start now. And he rides for Avanti.
Well, he really has been prominent in the National Road Series here in Australia over the last couple of seasons. A very fast sprinter, but not a pure sprinter. He's a pretty handy all-rounder, so he'll normally put in a fairly respectable time here.
He's good on tight circuits, former circuit race champion of Australia, but I'll tell you what, this is a good time here. This is Nathan Haas coming up the straight. He knows he's on a good ride. He's mastered the corners. The time of Will Clark still stands, 3 minutes 2.51. He's going to push that time all the way to the line. He knows it too. The crowd are urging him on, digging deep, the former winner. The Garment Sharp rider hits it. It'll be third best time though, 3:3.18 for Nathan Haas. A good effort.
Well, it is for a rider that's going for the overall classification. Remember, this is only 2.5 kilometres, not that well suited to the contenders that are going to be racing up Arthur's Seat climb on the final day. Anthony Giacopo just around that tricky corner there. You can see the different lines the riders are taking. Another big favourite from New Zealand, Tom Scully.
Yes, this man is a fine track rider as well. The men in black are here with great confidence. Their big tour, the New Zealand Classic, has just finished. They've transferred across now into this race here. And he cut that barrier pretty close, but he's taking a few risks here.
Well, he's a fan of Melbourne. He won the Madison round of the World Cup in 2010 here on the Velodrome, not too far away from where the start is, so he does like the town.
Will Clark, and on the far side there is Nathan Haas sitting on the third best time, taking a drink. Will Clark, though, watching them come and go. Now let's see what happens now. This is the Avanti rider, Jayco, coming up. The time is ticking by. It's not going to be best time. This comes across the line. 3 minutes, 6.7 seconds. So the top three can breathe again. But I tell you what, the way this man is scalping the corners, Tom Scully is going to be a threat. Jordan Kirby out on course, the man that surprised us all a year ago with victory in the prologue at Williamstown.
Well, that was over 5 kilometres, which is fairly short for a time trial, but this is only half that distance at 2.5 and a lot more technical than the course at Williamstown. Tom Scully, though, he's coming towards the finish now. He's nailed every corner out on course, and he's flying into the line.
He screams down the bank of the Yarra River here, and I'll tell you what, I can see the clock here. This is going to be close. I can also see the face of Will Clark, who is staring at the clock. Hits the line. It's the best time by a fraction of a second. 3:1.81. Tom Scully goes top of the leaderboard with that. That was a real ride.
Well, I did say he likes Melbourne. He's been a victor here before on the track, now on the road as well. Jordan Kirby trying to go back-to-back. Won the 5 kilometre prologue 12 months ago, but he's a little bit off the pace today.
No, the dream's not going to be repeated there. Kirby going across in 3:8.39. Let's go down to the start house. Rowan Dennis now in the start house.
Well, another pre-race favourite. Silver medalist at the Olympic Games in London 2 years ago in the team pursuit for Australia. But 2013 on the road was a standout season for him, and we expect big things over the next couple of years from him.
Well, this man's got himself in a good rhythm here. The crowd enjoying a beautiful summer's evening here in Melbourne, as now Rowan Dennis tries to take the lead. His teammate Nathan Haas still sits on that podium in third place. He's out on St Kilda Road only briefly. Will Clark now having to take second best to Tom Scully as he talks there with Matt Keenan, and Tom Scully now waiting to see if his time, 3 minutes 1.81, will survive the day. Let's go back to the start house. This is Joe Cooper.
Former New Zealand time trial champion, also riding for the Avanti team, so he's moved across to Australia, racing prominently on the NRS, the National Road Series scene. So you'd expect a pretty solid time from him, but Rowan Dennis is a rider you'd definitely expect a good time from. Hasn't been so clean through those corners though, but still respectable. He's in the mix.
He's in the mix, but I'll tell you, the time of Tom Scully has just ticked by here. As Rowan Dennis hits the line, for him it is only sixth best time. Melbourne is famous for its obsession with coffee. Many of the city's most remarkable hotspots are hidden behind nondescript doors and in unexpected locations in the city's network of laneways. Melbourne's also a home to an original and sophisticated bar scene and must-visit food destination. And as twilight falls over the city, Tom Scully of New Zealand still sitting on best time, 3:1.81. What do you think Simon Clark can do about that, Scott?
Well, the Orica Green Edge rider has really come into his own the last couple of seasons. 7th place at the World Road Championships at the end of last season. But today it's more about just limiting his losses. It's only a short time trial, but he's a real contender for the overall classification. So if he can put in a good performance here, he'll still be in the mix later on. Earlier starter Joe Cooper from New Zealand, the former New Zealand time trial champion, motoring down to the finish line. A little bit off the pace. You can see the clock now trying to get the better of the other rider from New Zealand in Tom Scully, but that won't be the case. 3 minutes 7.43.
No, lost about 5 seconds, but watch this here. Simon Clark going around this corner, right up against the barriers, almost hits the feet of them. He's in a rush, that's for sure. Let's go down to the start house now because we're looking at Glenn O'Shea.
The silver medalist from the London Olympics 2012 in the team pursuit, and fresh off the back of an Australian Championship victory in the points race on Sunday night. So Glenn O'Shea, a little bit awkward there. He wasn't quite sure about that first corner, perhaps didn't ride the course enough.
Well, that will have cost him time. Let's see what Simon Clark does here now as he comes up the home straight. Hits the line, only 8th best time, but hasn't conceded a lot of time. 3 minutes 5 seconds there for Simon Clark.
Oh, for a rider going for the overall classification, that is a good performance by Simon Clark, former track rider as well, so very handy as we see Reece Gillett now. Another rider that's looking forward to the Arthur Seat stage on the final day. He's a good climber, not so good against the clock.
He showed us he was a great climber in the recent Australian Championships in Buninyong, where he finished up as the king of the mountains. Glenn O'Shea, he doesn't seem to be handling this course too well, I must say. He's losing a lot of time on those corners.
Well, Jack Haig is a rider that will also be trying to limit his losses here. He's such a good climber riding for the Avanti team. Out of the saddle here, coming up to the first corner. Remember, this is uphill, this first section, and that was much faster around that corner than we saw from O'Shea.
Well, let's see if Glenn O'Shea has paid for his rather rocky start around this course, and the clock is saying he's not going to match the time. Tom Scully can breathe again, because I think Tom Scully was afraid of the time that Glenn O'Shea might have set. He needn't have been. 3 minutes 7.01 seconds there. Back out on course now.
Well, that's Jack Haig just nailing it through the very fast chicane there. Jonathan Cantwell, former rider for Saxo Tinkoff, the World Tour, now riding for Drapac, based himself in Melbourne. He moved down from the Gold Coast. He prefers Melbourne.
Well, he's got the same weather as the Gold Coast right now, Scott. He rode his first Tour de France last year for Saxo Tinkoff, and very well he rode it as well. Now he's riding for Drapac, and looking as though he's a man in a hurry here. Tyke in that corner, knee pushed out down St Kilda Road. Meanwhile, back to the finish. This is Jack Haig coming up, but he's well off the pace.
He is, isn't he? It's not such a surprise. He's a very good climber and not a bad time trialer in a long distance, but 3:09.54, not good enough for today.
Cantwell just going through the chicane with a great turn of speed there as we go back down to the start house now. The man of the moment, the new Aussie champ yet again, Simon Gerrans.
And fresh off the back of that victory, the Tour Down Under last week. So he's going for the unique hat-trick this week if he can win the Aussie Championships, Tour Down Under and the Jayco Herald Sun Tour. And it'll be the 3rd victory here on the streets in Melbourne.
Trifecta never done before. We'll know next Sunday what the answer to that is. Cantwell sprinting home here. He too, though, is off the pace. The time of Scully still survives, even though Cantwell still has a little way to go. The clock has gone by 3:01.81, and in fact, he's going to get just inside 3:10. 3 minutes 9 seconds there. Now, another man here on the Garmin Sharp team. He is the penultimate rider to go. This is Jack Bauer.
Well, being the last rider from the Garmin Sharp team, he has been nominated as their big chance to go for the victory over 2.5 kilometres. But Simon Gerrans, the last rider for Orica Green Edge, he's going for the overall race victory, and he has to make sure he doesn't lose too much time here.
He's a canny rider. He knows he may not win the prologue, but he doesn't want to lose too many seconds to those who beat him in it either. The crowd loves Simon Gerrans. Hits the line there. Well, Gerrans crossing the line, 10th best so far, 3 minutes 6.29. Only conceding 4 seconds, though, to Tom Scully. I think you'll see that as a good result.
Well, the other rider that we'll be looking at, though, is the teammate of this man, Jack Bauer, on screen. It's Nathan Hassett he's trying to keep in touch with as well. But Jack Bauer's on a very good time. The nominated rider to go the last position for...
The clock hasn't got to 3 minutes yet, and Scully knows this time has gone. That is a great ride. 3 minutes, 0.90 seconds. Jack Bauer has pipped Tom Scully. Can you believe that?
Well, New Zealand riders first and second. They do love it over here. Calvin Watson, the last rider on the road, and the reigning champion riding for the KordaMentha Australian national team. But we already can see the time. He's way off the mark.
Yes, he is, Scott, and he's going to go home out on the course tomorrow with about 15 seconds he's looking for. But this is the man of the moment. He's got yellow.
Jack, first yellow jersey, and you knocked another Kiwi off the perch. It was in the hot seat for so long.
Yeah, Scud. Tom is he's a pretty awesome bike rider, eh? Just come off the track and off the board, so I knew he'd be one of the men to beat today. It's a bit of a pity to knock a fellow Kiwi off the top perch, but might as well be another Kiwi doing it.
How's it feel to take that first yellow jersey in front of such a class field?
Oh, it's all good. Yeah, we've just come off a strong Tour Down Under, and I'm enjoying my time in Aussie. Been training pretty well and staying healthy, so the whole team is here with pretty decent legs. I didn't really think we'd have anybody to challenge for today's stage, but I'm happy it's me.
You got plenty of guys to challenge for that final yellow jersey. How do you work that out within the team?
It's pretty clear who we've got on the team who can climb. obviously the stages are fairly lumpy, especially that final on Arthur's Seat near the end of the week. And there's a couple of the boys who know the stage, and like we've got a lot of talent in the team and some good climbers. And I'll see what I can do to hold on to the jersey early on before we hit the hills.
Very modest comments from Jack Bauer, the stage winner in the prologue today. Now he's got to defend the best young rider from Victoria State Government. Felix English has got that. He finished 4th on the stage. The Chain Reaction Sprinters jersey, that's also for Jack Bauer. But the one he'll wear tomorrow, the Maillot Jaune, the Jayco Herald Sun Tour yellow jersey. He'll defend on the highways between Geelong and Ballarat, 116 kilometres. Amid talk of record crowds watching tonight, we'll say goodbye from Melbourne on behalf of Scott McGrory, Matthew Keenan and me, Phil Liggett. See you tomorrow. Goodbye.